Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Starbucs. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got Jim Rosati. Jim, happy Monday. Happy back-to-back Pirates series victories.
Yeah, how about that? Pretty good week last week. They win a couple series, and yeah, here we are. Good stuff.
Not just a couple. I mean, some pretty decent teams too.
Yeah, the Phillies definitely good team. Padres should be good on paper, but
I
unfortunately,
still consider them good. That's too talented of a team to look at and say, it was just the Padres.
No, that's fair. It's a very talented team. For some reason, they just haven't really been able to put things together. But the Pirates took advantage of it. Pirates went 5-1 this year against the Padres, who are a team that have basically three MVP caliber dudes in that lineup. Maybe four if you count Ha-Seong Kim, the season he's having.
Actually, yeah, he's like the best player right now.
Yeah, and then but yeah, very, very good week for the Pirates.
For sure. And, Blake Snell's run he's been having right now, too, just absolutely ridiculous. But yes, so anyways, right, it was a really good week for the Pirates. They took 2 series, which, again, is a very, 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 very bad team right now. But they've kind of turned it around. And matter of fact, Jim, a lot of it was due to the rookies on the team.
Yeah, the young guys have come up, and for the most part, they are performing really well. So it's good to see, and it just makes this team. It's the team is better with the likes of Henry Davis, Andy Rodriguez. Jared Triolo's been coming up with some clutch hits every now and then. I wouldn't really necessarily call I wouldn't really call Josh Palacios young at this point, but another just incredible moment that he put together yesterday. So yeah, the young guys, the inexperienced guys are coming through.
Yeah, it was Palacios' birthday yesterday. And like you said, he certainly wasn't young before his birthday. He's certainly not going to be young after his birthday, right? But he is technically a rookie. And, right, like what I'll say about him, too, is I don't believe in his talent. I don't believe that he is a good major league player. But what I absolutely will give him is he's been clutch this year. Like, I feel like any other moment, he's Josh Van Meter, unless it's a clutch moment. And he's like Ted Williams.
Well, first off, yesterday wasn't like a pinch hit moment, but he's also been like one of the best pinch hitters that the Pirates have had in quite some time. Fangraphs, here we go. Fangraphs, as a pinch hitter, he's hitting 462. He's got a 1,038 OPS. So like, he's getting it done. Usually you're pinch hitting in clutch moments. Like you don't bring in pinch hitters when you don't need a hit, right? So yeah, he is 6 for 13 as a pinch hitter. Just getting the job done with three runs batted in as a pinch hitter. So yeah, really, really good stuff from him. When it matters. The rest of the time he kind of seems very pedestrian like. What a moment yesterday. That was a pretty cool hit that he had. He went up there to bunt. He got to 2-0 because the pitcher almost hit him. He gets thrown to the ground because he almost gets hit with a pitch, and then that walk-off homer. It was exciting to watch.
Right, it was. And what a home run trot / dance.
Yeah. with that's what's kind of crazy. Like this team, you look at the record and you're like, all right, these guys are bad. But just in the last month or so, you've had 2 walk-offs, and the guys are having fun because the Santana walk-off from earlier, and then this one, some pretty incredible home run celebrations. Yeah, good. Well
For
done
real.
by both of them.
It was funny because I was talking with Cody last night, and he was like, DiNardo, I kind of need Josh Palacios to be good. And I was like, you know what, Cody? I get it. He's not going to be, but I get it because he would be great to have on this team, and seeing more of that type of things. But
Yes,
probably not going to happen. But anyways, let's talk about some of these young bucks. Like you mentioned, Endy's been playing well. Henry Davis, although he's been struggling again, like recently, he has been playing well overall. You saw that again. Holy hell, you saw that arm yesterday. I mean, we talked about it with Bryce Harper. You're seeing that arm come into play multiple times. But I guess, like also Leover Peguero, how he's been performing lately. I guess let's kind of talk about these young guys. There's a lot of them. I was making this graphic last night and I was like, okay, let me put some of the rookies on here. Like of actual note. And I'm like, all right, so I'll be like, 4, maybe 5 players. I'm like, nope, there's another one. There's another one. This team is loaded right now. I feel like every player that comes up is a rookie, outside of like Andrew McCutcheon and G-Man Choi.
yeah. One guy you didn't even mention yet, Leover Peguero, had a really good week of baseball. Nick Gonzalez kind of seems to be falling back down to earth, but he's giving you some good at bats every now and then, playing pretty good defense at second base.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, in particular, Endy Rodriguez really making some nice adjustments at the plate. He looks really good behind the plate as well. But yeah, he's making some good adjustments to Major League pitching. Endy Rodriguez, just some quick things there. His first 2 games, right? He went 0 for 7 with 6 strikeouts.
Yes.
Did not look good in them whatsoever. Ever since then, hitting 296, 367 OBP, 556 slugging. He's just looking way more comfortable at the plate, and he's been a huge part of the Pirates' recent, I wouldn't necessarily call it success, but they've been playing better baseball lately. And Endy's been a part of it.
Just simply playing better baseball is a success with this team. So I'll label it a success. Outside of that, it's been a disaster.
Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right. And we were talking about, again, to kind of talk and rehash what we did right on the post game. A week ago, you brought up the question, like, are we supposed to be worried about Endy? And the consensus was no. Like, he's too talented. You've seen what he does. The strikeouts are alarming, but I'm not worried that's like part of his game. It's probably just an adjustment, right? And we agreed on that. And like since then, it's exactly what he's been doing. Like his strikeout and walk rate after his first 4 games are like identical. Like he just is simply not striking out anymore. He's making contact with the ball. All good stuff. And again, what's most impressive, I think, is because I'm not going to say expect him to be like a 50% better hitter than the league, but just like you expect him to be a hitter, not strike out, get your walks, right? But what is most impressive to me is what he's doing behind the plate. Again, like what is Austin Hedges? I'm seeing all this stuff, and the numbers, might not support it in total, right? I'm assuming and going to stick my neck out there and say Austin Hedges is probably a better catcher defensively than Endy Rodriguez at point, but like you don't see this drop off. You don't see like, holy hell, this is why Austin Hedges had to be back there. Endy's just simply not ready.
Yeah, I mean, so far the metrics seem to like Endy Rodriguez back there. You can see it just from the eye test. He's really athletic. He makes some plays just purely based off of his athleticism. That play yesterday, I don't know if every catcher in Major League Baseball makes that play yesterday, and then it had to do with Henry Davis, Endy Rodriguez, and Nick Gonzalez, all 3 of them involved in it. And I'm talking about in the 10th inning. Davis guns it home. stops Harper in his tracks. Endy, it was a tough play to make for Endy because it was a cannon, but it also wasn't like a super easy hop to handle. Endy,
Sure.
it was a few feet off the plate. Endy goes and gets it, immediately whips it to second, and then Gonzalez gets him at home. So really nice play by Endy. Yeah, defensively, Fangraphs, defensive metrics like him a lot, and just from a just like a field general too. Like you can tell he's a leader out there. He's vocal. He pumps his pitchers up. He settles them down when he needs to. He's looked really good back there. Looked really comfortable. He looks like he belongs. He looks like he's a major league catcher.
Yeah. Now I know this. We haven't seen him to say he looks like a major league catcher, but at the same sense, you talk about leadership. They're different styles, but Henry and Endy, just the way they present themselves on the field. Again, like talking about like the intangible stuff. That's just impressive. Like neither of them look like rookies in that sense. There's no way this is like your first month, your first week, playing baseball in the majors. Like they just look, we're here. They don't look overwhelmed. They look like they want to win, right? There's a whole different mindset than like these other young guys that have come up, and it's like, the lights are too big. They're just like admiring and taking in where they're at and just happy to be here. And like these guys, they're here and they want to win and they want everyone around them to be better too. Look, there's like the level of expectation. But yeah, going back to that play, I think the most impressive part of it was like Nick Gonzalez. I mean, Endy, of course, did that, but like Nick takes that and just guns it right back at Endy quickly as he did to get the out. But again, like three of the rookies involved in that play, it was a huge play at that point in time.
Oh, that was a huge play. Like big swing in the game. And I think what makes it more impressive is just we're just so used to the Pirates screwing that type of play up.
Yeah.
And it's the Pirates have more often screwed plays like that up over the past few years than they've actually made them. Like it was a good play, like well executed all around. But that's also like that's a play that good major league teams make. Like good major league teams take advantage of the mistakes that those base runners made, and they get 2 outs out of that play. In the past, this Pirates team would have let up a run on that play. Like they would have. And we've seen it multiple times. Just this team do stupid, boneheaded stuff in the field, not be able to execute basic rundowns, not be able to throw it to the right bag or make an accurate throw or a timely throw when they need to. And that play, those 3 guys all executed it perfectly.
Take a step back a little bit. You're absolutely right. That's a play that typically the Pirates just somehow screw up. But to kind of put in perspective, most Pirate teams, if they didn't even screw it up, you score. Like who's in right field with that candy arm? Like whatever right fielder and their candy arm that you selected, right? Like you're not getting that throw to home. Bryce Harper probably scores, and it's without like an error. It's without a stupid bonehead, what the Phillies were doing all weekend, right? A stupid Pirates play. Now, if somehow it did get in time, then yes, whoever the catcher was thrown to second and the second coming back to the catcher, like that's where the error would have came up like you're talking about. But I'm just saying, like it started with Henry Davis's arm, and any Pirate player beforehand still makes that play. Bryce Harper probably still scores, and it was a fine play. And you're just hanging your head saying, well, that sucks. You're looking at the pitch and you're looking how Bryce Harper got there, and less of the defender and such. And like right now, you're saying, holy hell, look at the defender. And that's the first time you're saying that as far as like well, I shouldn't say the first time. It's been the first time since the last time we talked about this exact right fielder. But like you don't talk about that with the Pirates right fielders in like the last decade, at least. We talked about. So like again, like that play all starts with Henry Davis, and that's a play like you said, like the Pirates don't make at this point in time. Now there's talent out there that's able to make that. And then of course we're going with the rest of the the infield. They're talented enough to make those plays as well and not screw it up like normal. And again, it's the rookies that are doing it. It's not the vets that came in. The vets that come in, I mean, I guess you want to call him Connor Joe a vet per se. He's older, not so much a vet, but he's been around a little bit. He's the one that's making the mistakes at first base. It's the rookies that Peguero and Nick Gonzalez and Endy, and again, we won't talk about the defense, but the arm with Henry Davis, like they're playing actual decent defense. Triolo, outside of a mistake yesterday too.
Yeah, Triolo almost cost the team big time yesterday, but it ended up not coming back to hurt him. But yeah, Henry Davis in right field. How many games has he played now? 32. 32 okay. Major league games in right field. In the minors, he played a total of 13. So the dude's played 45 games ever out there after being a catcher his entire life. He doesn't look great out there from a fielding standpoint. He's not, especially when it comes to like balls that he has to field. Like he's fine on fly balls, it seems like, but balls where there's a hop or there's it's skidding across the outfield. Not great so far. Those are things that just you need repetition. Like you need to be able to just field hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of line drives that drop in front of you, right? To be able to just be really comfortable with that. So I think he'll get there if this team ultimately wants him playing in right field. I do think he can still be a catcher. Like I still don't think the Pirates should give up on that. And based off of the comments that Ben Cherington made yesterday, I think they still want him catching a little bit. We've only seen the one inning from him, but yeah,
and just to touch on those comments, people didn't see or whatever. Like Cherington said, basically, like after this trade deadline, he expects Henry Davis to be catching.
Yeah, so you can almost kind of read between the lines there and say, I think they're trying to move Austin Hedges.
I'm pretty sure.
That's pretty much what that means. But yeah, the arm itself has been great out there. But yeah, just the more and more we see him, I think the more comfortable we'll see him as far as the glove goes.
Right. I think the athleticism can definitely take him there. Not to go too much deeper into that, but the arm certainly makes up a little bit for the lack of defense. But give him a whole offseason to work on it and become a better defender, and maybe he can get there. But also at the same time, like you want him to be working on the defensive catcher too. So like that's where he's at. Like he's a catcher who's working hard to become a good catcher, who's also saying, hey, by the way, while you're doing that, just be a good defender in right field. Mm-hmm. You're expecting a lot from him. So like don't take it out of him for not being a good defender.
He owned Bryce Harper this past series.
Oh, yes. The Pirates in total actually owned Bryce Harper, which is actually kind of funny.
Yeah. But like between throwing him out at second, the play yesterday where he threw home and Harper, pumped the brakes. Yeah. If anyone else is out there in right field, Bryce Harper goes home on that play. But Bryce Harper remembered what happened the day before when he tried running on Davis, and it didn't work that last time. And then whatever happened yesterday also didn't work out for him. So yeah, Davis owned Harper
for sure. So we've talked about Davis again. Nick Gonzalez, Triolo's up here, which by the way, again, like the throw was not good, but it was actually a really good defensive play. Like the glove was excellent. He just didn't complete it. That's what you're expecting from Peguero this whole time. But yeah, Triolo, Rodriguez, Peguero, offensive side, the dudes that are kind of doing it. Quinn Priester, to not go too deep. We went kind of in depth, his last start in the post game. It's not pretty. It's kind of what you're expecting, but I think what we didn't really talk too much about is Majinski. That's kind of a rookie who's been doing some things that hasn't really been talked too much about. Majinski, though.
Yeah, he has looked really good. He's carved himself out a really nice role there in the bullpen. Outside Bednar, like he's the guy I trust the second most. He's done 16 appearances so far, 17 and 2/3 innings, 2.04 ERA. I still would like to see probably more strikeouts out of him, but so far so good. And the numbers aren't even really all that deceiving. Like you look at the peripherals, his home run rate is a little higher than average. His left on base percentage is below average. So like there's some things like this isn't a mirage, I guess is what I'm saying. Like this isn't, you can sometimes look at a relief pitcher over 17, 18 innings and say, this, he's gotten lucky these 17 or 18 innings. And that hasn't been the case for Mlodzinski. Like he's pitched really well in his time up here. The stuff absolutely plays. I know, Tyler and I talk about it all the time on post games after he pitches. Like the stuff's there. He's got the stuff to be a good reliever. And so far the command has been decent. His walk percentage 10%. So like it's fine. You'd love to see that number get lower, but it's fine. Yeah, he's had a really nice start to his major league career, and you're seeing him come in more important moments. Really, it seems like every day he goes out there and pitches, it's like a bigger moment for him.
That's fair for sure. I think he's providing them a lot of trust right now too.
Yeah,
he's not just the rookie. He's again with his bullpen, it doesn't take a whole lot, but he's proving himself. And he's being awarded those opportunities right now, outside of King Baraki.
Yeah,
he's first on the depth chart, and that's it.
And it was something Tyler and I talked about a little bit on, I think it was Saturday, or Friday. This team hasn't really developed relievers at all. The bullpen over the last decade or so has been compiled of waiver wire pickups and guys they traded for. They haven't really done this and succeeded where they had a starter through the lower levels of the minors. Upper levels were like, okay, you know what, your skill set is better to be a reliever. Let's put you in the bullpen. You see him succeed in the higher levels, and then they bring him up, and you've got yourself a good relief pitcher. Like the Pirates haven't had one of those guys in a really, really long time. And so it's nice to see just that strategy. Like we talk about this kind of strategy all the time. Like we've been talking about, like Kyle Nicholas is kind of another example where like, okay, the dude started throughout his lower levels. The stuff's incredible. But then once he reaches the upper levels, he's just probably not a starting pitcher, right? But you still really like the stuff, and you think he could be a contributor in some capacity. So let's make him a reliever, right? I think you look at Carmen Mlodzinski and you take a guy like Kyle Nicholas and you're like, how can we replicate this? Because I don't know if anybody really thinks Kyle Nicholas is a major league starter at this point. But you look at Kyle Nicholas,
I believe on the top of my head, 10-something ERA in India right now probably suggests that.
Yeah. So just another example where like, okay, can the Pirates replicate what they did with Mlodzinski with a Kyle Nicholas type guy? Because it worked out perfect for Mlodzinski so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think the closest you have, and you can't really hang your hat on that because it's still a work, in progress, but like Yeri De Los Santos like presents that. Like he could be that reliever, and Colin Selby, who hasn't really done, but like those are the two that in this regime, like you're kind of looking at and saying that's what they're doing with those two. But right, they've done nothing yet so far. Mlodzinski is kind of doing it, but it's kind of funny because like he's doing it with that starter repertoire, like 4 pitches over 10%. It's not like he's coming up and saying, here's my 2 or maybe 3 pitch arsenal. He's like, I'm gonna all 4. And he's pitching well with all of them for the most part. So, you have that aspect of it. Yeah, I like what I see out of Mlodzinski as well. And it's kind of weird in saying this. It's not as if like the starting role's crowded, but you probably look at him at the outside of like the pecking order and what you're hoping. Like if you wanted to make him a starter, is he really going to be over Jared Jones and Quinn Priester and of course all the guys already here, you know? So like the role form of the team probably is going to be cut out to be a reliever. So I'm like happy they decided to go ahead and just do that right now instead of waiting out for this, you know, starting role and whatever. So yeah, he's actually got a role cut out for him. Go start excelling at it. He's 24 years old, and he could be a big part of this bullpen going forward.
Yeah, you mentioned the arsenal, right? He's got a starting pitcher's arsenal, 4 pitches that he uses all of them on, and they're pitches that, again, they're a starting pitcher's arsenal. They're not meant to just go in there and get like only righties out or only lefties out. Like his arsenal allows him to attack both sides of the plate. You know,
Right.
the cutter and the changeup play really well against lefties. The fastball and the sweeper play really well against righties. So he he's doing a really good job with his pitch mix. And I think just the more and more we see him, hopefully the better that he gets, because the stuff looks good. Stuff looks good so far.
Yep. Cool. As far as I guess rookies go, anyone else you want to touch on right now?
No, I think we're good. I think we hit up everybody. It's a young team. It's pretty interesting. Every time the lineup gets put out, essentially 5 through 9 are all rookies. Every day, 5 through 9 it's rookie, 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 rookie.
And with that said, 5 through 9 has improved.
It has.
Right.
It really has.
Yeah, like at any rate, you know, not to drag this out, but it's like I don't think Jack Swinski at leadoff makes sense, but at least there could be a guy on base when he does the second or third time, you know, because it's not 8 and 9 black holes that are just making outs, and then you have Jack Swinski up with nobody on as your leadoff guy. So, anyways, at any rate, yeah, 5 through 9 having some competency now in this lineup. I mean, this lineup is like if you squint hard enough, it's okay. There'll be some lumps, right? The rookies, but like you don't look anywhere and say, oh, well, again, you know, like a lot of this season and most years, 5 through 9 are just black holes. You had to do something with guys 1 through 3 or 4. And then if you didn't, you just had to wait till the next time they were up.
Yeah, it's been, like you mentioned, it's just added kind of more length to the lineup. You're not automatically thinking 5 through 9 are outs, like we saw a few times earlier in the year and a lot of times last year.
Right. So with that said, do we want to go into the Tiger series?
Yeah, let's do it. 2-game series against the Tigers, huh?
Yeah, it's a 2-game, of course. It's the only way the Pirates can play the Tigers. 2 games at a time.
Yeah, it kind of sucks because like everybody in the majors gets one of these. Like it's not like the Pirates are the only team that has this. Everybody has like a 4-game cross league rival in quotation marks. And it's 2 games at home, 2 games on the road. It just sucks because like you would probably like as Pittsburghers, you'd probably like prefer that team to be Cleveland. Like that would be probably your main rival there. But yeah, you're stuck with Detroit just because you know they kind of want to keep Cleveland and Cincinnati together for the whole Ohio thing.
Yeah.
And then just Detroit just ends up being like the other team with nobody to play. So they play the Pirates. It sucks.
It does. It is, although ironic and funny, like how many ties the Pirates and Tigers have. I mean, talk about previous management, players, regardless. Yeah, so the Tigers 2-game series, it starts tomorrow on Tuesday. And 2 bad teams. It's gonna be an evenly matched game.
Yeah, they're
Like,
neither team is good.
but yeah, like you look at their pitching, like when you go down and look at the teams, like the hitting, the pitching, they're very evenly matched, little different ways. And of course, now a little bit different, over the past few weeks, right? The Pirates have had a lot of new faces, but in general, the teams, they're pretty evenly matched everywhere.
They are. They're evenly matched teams. They're constructed different ways, right? The Pirates are have a lot more inexperience in their lineup. The Tigers are probably going to be looking a little bit different because the Eduardo Rodriguez is set to start on Wednesday, and I would be surprised if Eduardo Rodriguez is the Tiger on Wednesday.
Yeah, that
So we could
works in the
see.
Pirates' favor because he's the dog. Actually, they faced him earlier this year too, didn't they?
They faced him earlier this year and lit up.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was when he was on he started this season really well. And
Right.
on May 17th, faced Eduardo Rodriguez 5 innings and he gave up 4 runs. So yeah, it wasn't a good start for him there, but he's definitely a main candidate to be traded at this deadline. He's got a contract that's pretty. Actually, I don't know. I mean, he's locked up kind of long term. He can opt out after this year, so you would imagine that that's what he's going to do based off of the season that he's having, because he's making like $15 million a year right now, and he could probably get more in a longer term deal, perhaps on the open market. So my guess is he's an opt out candidate. So the Tigers are going to look to get something out of him. So
Right.
I would be surprised if we face Eduardo Rodriguez on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that, but he is lined up to start. Good chance he won't be, and then therefore, who will be? Who knows? It probably won't be that good, which is good for the Pirates.
Yeah, I mean, he's their best pitcher, so if they don't have to face him, that'd be good.
We'll say outside of like right now, Lorenzen's pitching very well.
Yes. Yep.
Also a trade candidate, but
yeah, both of those guys, I think both of those guys will be gone. So we could be looking at a completely. It's interesting because the Tigers, you're looking to probably trade those 2 guys, and if they do it on Monday, you could probably have, if they trade for any major leaguers or something like that, have them by Wednesday's game. But if they get traded on Tuesday, you may have like a short-handed Tigers team on that Wednesday game where they maybe don't have everybody that they thought they would have. So this series lines up good for the Pirates. Matt Manning had a really good start last time out, I want to say. Yeah. No, not last time out. Time before. Last time out, I got rocked by the Angels. So yeah, not great. So he's been inconsistent. He starts.
However,
tomorrow.
though, overall, solid enough. Mid-4 ERA over the past month, a 4.44 ERA. Yeah, he's been good enough to beat the Pirates in most days.
Yeah, but the lineup is kind of a mess. Spencer Torkelson is kind of starting to turn the corner a little bit,
right,
and look like that first overall pick that the Tigers were hoping he would be. Riley Green's having an outstanding season. He's far and away their best player. But yeah, the rest of this lineup, it's very pedestrian, this Tigers
very
lineup.
much so. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Riley Green, and especially over this past month. This past month, he's batting 349, 406, 540 with a 165 weighted runs created plus. That's the dude. But like you said, outside of him, I mean, it's okay. Okay, Torkelson, 116 weighted runs created plus. Like, he's kind of turning it around, like you said. Miggy's hitting a little bit better, but no power and nothing really especially. So it's fine. It's fine. You would expect and hope that the Pirates could muster something up and beat this team, especially their guys. So like Oviedo is going to be pitching the first game, right? So you have a Manning, Oviedo, and we know Oviedo looks very inconsistent. So that's part of the problem. Is this 7 earned run Oviedo, or is this 0 earned run Oviedo? We'll find out. But like against this lineup, it certainly could be 0-run Oviedo that you're seeing, right? So like
Right.
you're kind of hoping to see that from Oviedo. Maybe they could take game one. And then yeah, like you said, it was Rodriguez, but if he's traded, maybe that makes the Pirates hand a little bit better, right? We don't know who's gonna be pitching, and the Pirates can go out there and win that game as well, potentially. Where the hell did my thing just go? Who's the game 2 starter?
For the Pirates?
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, here we go. It
Vito.
is Beto. Yeah. So actually, that's another one. Beto, like, I don't know from him. Like,
yeah. The whole the opener thing worked for Vito last time out. So they had Barucki start that game. I think Barucki went an inning and a third, inning and 2/3, something like that.
I think so.
And then Vito came in and pitched 3 scoreless innings, got them into the 5th, and that worked out nicely for them. Yeah, so I wonder if they'll do that again. I wonder if they'll do that again because it worked out pretty well. And you've seen that Beto clearly doesn't have the length that you would want out of a starter. And that's when you use an opener, right? You want to use an opener to get that starter to the 6th inning when he normally, wouldn't be able to get there if he started in the first. You want to get him so that he's facing that front of the lineup for the first time in the 3rd inning, as opposed to facing them a second time in the 3rd inning. So it was a good strategy that paid off last time out. I would be surprised if they didn't try it again. Like I bet they try it again because it worked. Stick with what works.
I think it'll work. We have a comment. Someone says they're dying to see what's on the front of your hats. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
There it is.
It's a Pirates.
You wearing like this the rest of the time now?
I don't like wearing the flat bills, the flat bill stuff forward. So
gotcha. So, anyways, yeah, I don't know, man. It's a very evenly matched team, but yeah, this deadline makes a little bit of difference, and I think the Pirates could easily take 2, especially right now the way they're playing. The offense is coming alive. These young guys, if they play as well they did, they're playing much better than the young guys for the most part on the Tigers, the ones that are there. So, yeah, it would be nice to get some more wins and still be above the Cardinals.
I'm on mute.
I thought I lost. I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
Here we go again. I have no audio.
This is absolutely a series that the Pirates could sweep. I mean, it's only 2 games, but you would love to see them take advantage of this Tigers lineup. Again, with Eduardo Rodriguez likely not starting on Wednesday, you're going to be facing either a call-up or it's going to be a bullpen game for the Tigers. So, yeah, this would be a good series, pick up a couple of wins. No, I'm not even going to go into the whole this is a measuring stick series because the Tigers suck. You just want to be better than Tigers, like plain and simple. So like be better than the Tigers, guys. Come on.
What I did want to say, not to go too deep into this part, but the trade deadline's coming, expectations thrown out the window. A lot of the young guys are here now. I think these last 2 months are semi-important in the win-loss column. All right. Now, granted, Ben Cherington might think differently and say, here's potentially another number 1 overall pick incoming that I can get my hands on. But when a lot of this core is now here, I want to start seeing some wins. That makes sense. I don't want this loser mentality and culture to continue. Like, I don't want them coming up here and then, even though it's just 2 months, it's 2 months of misery. Everyone's just defeated. Like, I want them to come up here and enjoying their experience, learning, but also learning how to win, much like yesterday against the Phillies with those plays. Like that winning is now coming to be much more important than it was last year.
Absolutely. Winning is always important, in my opinion. You should never strive to lose in a competitive sport, but that's a whole other conversation for another day. But no, you're absolutely right.
We've had it many a days, but yes.
You're absolutely right. Like this the core is here now. Like there's no one left at the upper levels, especially on the offensive side, who's going to be a meaningful contributor to this team. There's nobody. Not in AAA, absolutely not, and probably not really in AA either. So like this core group of guys that you've got, they need to win. Like they got to win. They got to learn how to do that at the major league level. I think one thing that's kind of neat about this crew of rookies is, they've played with each other for a while now. They have, they should have each other's backs. They should want to be picking each other up. Like they should have good relationships in the clubhouse. And when you have all that stuff, it hopefully means, a better on-field product, because they're playing for each other, right? And from like if you're like an analytical guy, sometimes you're like, well, that stuff's not real, but like it is. Like you're still a team, and these are still human beings, and you want to be able to not be the guy who fails your teammates that you've been playing with for years now, right? Yeah, like that's
hold themselves accountable.
Hold themselves accountable to themselves, and that's, I think, the interesting part about all these rookies coming up at one time. They've won together in the minors, and you hope now that they take that mentality and that experience from winning real games to the major league level. So absolutely, these last 2 months, you want to see some wins. Even if they just play like they have the last 2 weeks or so, which is essentially 500 ball. Like if they play 500 ball from here on out, I think you can kind of look at this team and say, okay, you know what, the season wasn't a complete failure. I think every one of us predicted somewhere in like the low 70s win total with these guys, right? And if you do that, like, be honest, the end goal isn't to be a 72 or 73 win team, right? It's not the goal. But if they can win 73, 74 games this season, that's a 10 game improvement, 10 plus game improvement from last year. And that's what you want to see. You want to see improvement. And that's what we need to be looking for these last 2 months. Did this team take a step forward from 2022? And in order to do that, they have to win some games these next 2 months.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So again, that's why I want to throw it out there. I do believe there needs to be some emphasis. I know the trade deadline's coming. Santana's already gone. You're probably looking at Rich Hill to be gone. Austin Hedges. Outside of that, we'll find out if any more. But the team still needs to win. Like, it doesn't have and shouldn't and can't be this complete drop off. Now the deadline's passed, like last year, right? You just see this drop off in talent and performance, and now they're running and losing some more games than they even were. I want to see them win more games than they have been. So, like you said, if they can play close to 500 ball and get close to that 70 win mark, I'm feeling a lot better, because it was also done with the future, right? And not the guys that came in and such. Still want to see, Brian Reynolds perform better. I still want to see Hayes get back on the field and perform better. Like, you still want to see those guys, but with this young core coming up and then playing better, that makes you feel a little bit better about 2024. And it's good for them to go into 2024 with that, experience and mentality. Like, hey, we can win some ball games. Let's do something. So
yeah, you flashed this comment up earlier, but I do want to talk about it. So yeah, let's say the Pirates go 500 the rest of the way out. They end up with 75 wins, which is really on the high end of what people were expecting this team to do. Now, I'm not going to call that a success. 75 wins shouldn't be a success by any means, but it is a step in the right direction, and that's what we want to see. So I think that's like right now, if they can get to 75 wins, you're not happy with that by any means, but
if you take and look at the context,
it's real. It's something real that you can look at and say, okay, this team got better.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you think about it, it's not that you're happy about the 75 wins, right? I'm not jumping up and down and saying 75 wins, we've done it. I'm a Pirates fan. I think it's what the 75 wins represents, especially knowing where you're at, that you got there and you got there with the young guys, and it makes you feel a little bit better with that core. Because if they're still playing at this level and they're closer to 60 wins at the end of the year, you're much more nervous about 2024.
Oh yeah.
That's the difference. And that's why I say it's not that you're satisfied with 75 wins, but you're feeling a lot better with those 75 wins, knowing how you got there for the future. That's why it matters.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to go into 2024 and say, okay, we won 75 games last year. How do we get 10 games better? Right? It's a lot easier to do that than to go into 2024 with 60 wins and saying, okay, how do I get 25 wins better? That is a lot more difficult to do.
And Cohen is not your owner. So
Right.
you know how it's not coming.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. So that guess wraps up our Tiger series and talk. Do we want to touch on some prospects?
Maybe real quick. We're already at the 45-minute mark.
Yeah.
Let's hit on one prospect each. Let's pick one.
Just pick one prospect? Okay.
Each person pick one prospect.
You go first. It's your idea.
All right. I'm going to go with Bubba Chandler.
It's a good one to pick.
We haven't talked a lot about him just because he hasn't really been great. You're starting to see him, though, really turn things on. Let's go to his last three. I want to go to his last three starts. And again, not a huge sample size, but he's someone who you've got to be patient with. He's 20 years old. He really has only been a full-time pitcher now for 4 months. He's been a full-time pitcher ever in his life. So it's just, you got to be patient. You got to kind of look at and say, okay, you got to let this guy develop, right? But his last three starts, he's now 3-0, 15 2/3 innings, 0.57 ERA, 1 run given up in those 15 2/3 innings. He struck out 18 and walked just 4. Only 6 hits against him too. He's really been untouchable this last these last 2 weeks or so. So really good stuff from Bubba Chandler. I still don't. You want to see him finish the year like this. You want to see kind of how he finishes Greensboro. If he can make it to Double-A by age 21, kind of doing what he's been doing, where those first couple of years he was pulling double duty as a hitter and a pitcher. That's a success story in itself from a player development standpoint. So far, you got to like what you're seeing from him. These last few starts. Big thing for me the last time out, no walks. Like he's just looked a lot better, and the stuff is still very, very electric for a 20-year-old his age. Striking out a ton of batters. Really like what you're starting to see from Bubba Chandler.
Yeah. We talked. It's probably gonna be a slow development. I don't know if things are clicking. Maybe they are, but that's what's going to be huge because, again, we talk about talent. He's got the talent. If things are clicking, he can become a good pitcher. Man, he can be an X factor, and that's why you take him where you take him. And I'm not saying there's any correlation, but, I mean, Keith Law had him on his top 100 prospect list still. And I think we all joke and laugh like, what the hell is Keith Law smoking? Which you say a lot of times when Keith Law puts out his list. But that's why he did. Like, the talent is there. So, again, if it's starting to click right now and he can start progressing through the minors at a normal rate, that would be pretty big. The guy
real quick, just to kind of go over that. He was the number 21 draft prospect in that 2021 class. So, like, you're talking about a dude that scouts have loved. And yeah, like I said, he's going to take some time to develop, but hopefully you're starting to see him kind of turn a corner here.
For sure. All right. So I'm going to pick just one guy because we haven't talked about him at all this year. So the first time we're talking about him. And just because you trashed him in the 2023 draft, I'm going with Mitch Jeb. Now, listen, everything we said about that pick, and we even talked about it in more like later, right? Or the draft recap on this Starbucs is warranted, right? I mean, there's that swing. I mean, I don't know. I still am like, what the hell is this, right? But regardless, he's here. He's playing now. So we're starting to see some of the fruits of the labor, right, from the draft, right? They're in the leagues now performing and playing. Mitch Jeb being one of them. So he has 3 games under his belt, just 15 plate appearances. However, in those 15 plate appearances, Jim, not one strikeout, batting .571. He's in Bradenton. I just want to say something real quick. Okay. And I'm not saying he's going to be this guy, right? But just something of interest. And like, it's just killing me. So I just want to say this because we saw it with Zach Neto. He's in the majors already this year. The Angels are doing something again really, really unheard of. But the guy they just drafted this year in Nolan Shenuel is in his 3rd level of the minors this season in like his 7th game. He's in Double-A already. Now, I'm not here to say Mitch Jeb can do that, but he is a college arm, a college bat, 21 years old. Bradenton doesn't look like a match for him so far in these 3 games.
No. You can clearly tell he's got bat to ball skills, right? I don't
It's an
really
easy swing
know.
path. It's just the bat's already down here. It just goes out.
The bat to ball skills are definitely there. It's been 3 games, right? So you got to he's hitting .571 in 3 games. But yeah, Mitch Jeb so far doing everything he can to get my the night of the draft. I think I said, the guy can't hit. So he's doing everything he can to prove me wrong on that one. I hope he does. I'm still quite skeptical. Again, this is low A, but he's doing. We talk about when we talk about small sample sizes, typically what we say is you can't really look at these numbers and come to any conclusions. But if you're dealing with a small sample size, it's better to have a good small sample size than a bad. Right. And so far, Mitch Jeb has put together a really good small sample size.
I really just wanted to go out this route because I like when you get owned. I like when you have to eat your words. And if I only get 3 games to do it in, I'm going to take advantage of it because it could be a week from now and it's now 9 games and it's not good. And I've lost that opportunity. So I'm going to capitalize on it in these 3 games. But I just say it because, again, it's a new guy. We've talked a lot about some of the prospects. A lot of the prospects we talk about are in the majors now, so like who's left? Tamar, by the way, outstanding. I mean, this power he's generating right now, coming out of nowhere. Tamar's having an excellent season. Some of the guys have been promoted, have had like a little bit of their struggles in the new level. So again, Mitch Jeb, he was just drafted. I mean, it was a high pick under slot, but a high pick. So I guess, something to talk about. Keep your eye on, see how he develops.
Nothing would make me happier than my bashing of Mitch Jeb tweet, being on like Old Takes Exposed one day.
Correct. And it would, like, if it makes you happy, then it makes me happy just a little bit more.
There you go.
A lot more. And all of Twitter or X more.
X, whatever you want to do. Yeah. If it's still around at that point.
X is going to give it to you when you're on Old Takes Exposed. But at any rate, yeah. So there we go. Anything else you want to talk about, wrap up with? Let's get out of here.
No, let's wrap it up.
All right. So again, thank you all for watching. There is no game today, obviously, so we'll be back tomorrow with a post game. And with that said, bye-bye.
See you all.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page. It helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucs.